Let me tell you a story. It's about a king who commanded not just armies of men, but armies of spirits and birds. And this same king, with all his power, would stop his entire procession just to listen to an ant. Today, we're diving into a fascinating commentary on Surah An-Naml from the Qur'an, focusing on the story of King Solomon. And trust me, it's a story that's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about power, wisdom, and what it really means to rule a kingdom. Right from the jump, we get this incredible declaration from Prophet Solomon, or Suleiman. He's addressing his people, and it's just this statement of immense power, but also immense gratitude. But really listen to what he's saying. He's been taught the speech of birds and been given of all things. I mean, think about that for a second. This one verse sets the entire stage for a story that completely redefines our understanding of what real knowledge is and the true purpose of power. So, what kind of kingdom could possibly produce a ruler like this? To really get Solomon, we first have to look at what he inherited. You see, this wasn't just a kingdom he built from the ground up. No, it was a legacy, a foundation of worldly authority, yeah, but also something so much deeper, divine revelation. Solomon inherited his kingdom from his father, David, or as he's known, Dawood. But the commentary really stresses this point. This was not just about passing down a throne and a bunch of wealth. Their true inheritance was something called ilm, and this is a specific kind of divinely given knowledge. Think of it as this profound wisdom, this gift of prophecy that comes directly from God. This ilm was the real foundation of their rule. All the material power, the armies, the wealth, all of that was secondary to that. And just look at the sheer scale of his power. I mean, Solomon's army wasn't just made up of soldiers. It was this incredible, integrated force from 3 totally different realms of creation. Of course, he commanded humans, his visible subjects, but then he also commanded the jinn, these powerful, unseen beings, described in the tradition as being created from a smokeless fire. And on top of that, he commanded the birds, who acted as his messengers, his scouts. No other ruler in history is ever described as having this kind of comprehensive authority. It's just mind-blowing.
And you might think, an army of men, spirits, and birds, that must have been total chaos, right? Wrong. The commentary makes it a point to emphasize the absolute, perfect discipline of this supernatural army. The text says they were held in check, marching in these precise, orderly ranks. And this just highlights Solomon's perfect control, which, you have to remember, was a direct result of that divine wisdom, that ilm he was given. His authority wasn't just about brute force. It was about the ability to create perfect harmony and order among these vastly different groups. All right, so just imagine this incredible procession for a moment. You've got spirits, men, and flocks of birds so vast they darken the sky, all marching together. They arrive at a valley, and right here, the whole story makes this dramatic shift. The focus zooms all the way in, from the massive scale of this world-changing army to the quiet, intimate world of a single, tiny creature. An ant, the leader of her colony, sees this immense force coming, and she speaks. But listen to how incredibly precise her warning is. First, she recognizes Solomon and his soldiers by name. Second, she understands the nature of the threat. It's not one of malice, but of them being crushed by accident, while they perceive not. And third, she issues a clear, direct command to her fellow ants: get to safety. In this one tiny voice, you have intelligence, leadership, and incredible foresight. And Solomon, the mighty king at the head of this unbelievable army, he hears her. He actually hears and understands her. And what's his reaction? It isn't pride, it's not arrogance, it's a gentle smile. A smile of amusement, of recognition, of mercy. He doesn't dismiss this tiny voice from this tiny creature, he honors it. This one single act, this smile, tells us more about his character than his entire army ever could. It shows us a ruler who is perfectly in tune with all of creation, from the mightiest jinn to the humblest ant. Okay, now this is where the commentary takes a sharp turn. It argues that this incredible story, well, it isn't just a story about a king from long ago. It's actually a mirror. The story of Solomon's kingdom is, in fact, the story of the kingdom that exists inside every single one of us. To explain this inner world, the commentary introduces this really central concept, the Arabic word atash. Now, it literally translates to thirst, but think of it more like the soul's thirst. It's that deep, innate, unquenchable longing that sits at the very core of our being. You know that feeling of restlessness, that sense that no matter what you achieve, no matter what you acquire, there's still something missing? Well, the commentary argues that that feeling, is Atash, and it is the fundamental engine that drives everything we do. So what exactly is this spiritual thirst? Well, the source text explains that this Atash is the root cause of all human motion. The reason we get up in the morning, the reason we strive, we build, we seek, it's all an attempt to quench this inner thirst. And what it's really looking for, at its core, is an object that is worthy of our ultimate love and our ultimate devotion. Now here's the problem. If this incredibly powerful drive isn't guided by wisdom, it just latches onto whatever is in front of it, temporary things like wealth or status or pleasure. And because those things are temporary, they can never truly satisfy it, which leaves the soul in this constant state of perpetual unfulfilled seeking. So if we all have this fundamental thirst, this atash, where does it lead? Well, the commentary argues that this energy is always standing at a crossroads. It can be channeled in one of two directions, and those two directions lead to two radically different destinations for the soul. Okay, so on the one hand, you have the path of misdirected atash. This is when the soul attaches that deep, powerful longing to the fleeting things of this world. You're constantly chasing the next promotion, the next purchase, the next experience, only to find that the thirst is never quenched. It just leads to a scattered, restless, and ultimately unfulfilled life. But then there's the other path, the rightly guided atash. This is when the soul has the wisdom to recognize that an infinite longing can only be satisfied by an infinite, eternal, and absolute source. By directing this atash towards God, it finally finds its true object of devotion. And this is what leads to real satisfaction, to spiritual peace, and a deep sense of purpose. The soul finally finds its home. So here's the crucial insight from all of this. The entire human drama, all our anxieties, our restlessness, our endless searching, it can all be understood as the story of this thirst. Those feelings are just symptoms of a misdirected atash. True contentment, true spiritual peace is only found when we consciously reorient that deep longing away from created things and turn it towards the Creator. All right, with this deep understanding of atash in our minds, let's circle all the way back to Solomon. Let's look at his kingdom and his powerful declaration one more time, but now let's look at it through this new spiritual lens. Remember this line from the very beginning? We have been given of all things. When we first heard it, it sounds like a claim to limitless material possessions, right? Like he owned everything. But the commentary invites us to look so much deeper than that. The source text is very explicit about this. All things does not mean that Solomon owned every rock, every tree, and every piece of gold on earth. That's a very literal, surface-level reading. What it actually refers to is the comprehensive wisdom that ilm we talked about and the spiritual authority he was granted. It was the knowledge of how to justly govern and bring order to all the different realms of creation, the seen and the unseen, the human and the non-human. His real inheritance wasn't the stuff being governed, it was the key to proper governance itself. And this right here is the final, powerful connection the commentary makes. Solomon's external kingdom is presented as a perfect mirror for our own potential internal kingdom. Think about it. The jinn, those unseen powerful forces, can represent our hidden desires, our subconscious thoughts. The humans can represent our intellect and our conscious will. And the birds, soaring in the sky, can represent our highest spiritual aspirations. A person who, like Solomon, has been granted divine wisdom can bring all of these internal faculties into perfect harmony, into perfect discipline. They can rule the kingdom of their own soul with justice and with purpose, because their atash, their thirst, is finally and truly rightly guided. So in the end, the story of Solomon isn't just a fantastic tale about a king who could talk to ants. It's a profound invitation to look within ourselves. His magnificent external rule was simply a reflection, a manifestation of his internal mastery, all of it guided by divine wisdom. And so the commentary leaves us with a pretty deep challenge. If Solomon's true kingdom was his wisdom, what kingdom are you meant to rule?